Another amazing archaeological find confirms biblical history and might have some secular scholars seeing red. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. This is Breakpoint. In Psalm 60, the psalmist describes the totality of God's victory over Israel's foes, proclaiming, "Moab is my wash basin, upon Edom I cast my sandal." That's only one of more than 100 mentions of Edom in the Old Testament. The Edomites were descended from Esau, Jacob's older brother. The Genesis account of the troubled twins describes Esau as red all over when he was born. Esau, you might remember, sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of red stew, and so Edom means red in Hebrew. Thus, Esau's descendants came to be known as Edomites. Over the years, many scholars doubted the Edomites even existed, at least as described in these biblical accounts. Specifically, they regarded the depiction in the Pentateuch of the Edomites to be largely mythical. The real Edomite kingdom, they believed, emerged 3 or more centuries later during the latter part of Israel's divided monarchy and was read back into the story of the Exodus. Well, these scholars were mistaken. Recently, a team excavating in Israel's Timnah Valley found evidence of a thriving and wealthy society dating back to the 12th century before Christ. What kind of evidence? An extensive network of ancient copper smelting facilities were found in the parts of Israel and Jordan that the Bible associates with Edom. As team leader Ezra ben Yosef told the Jerusalem Post, copper smelting was essentially the high-tech of ancient times. Given how complex the process is, any society responsible for such facilities would likely be technologically sophisticated and politically well organized. According to Ben Yosef, these new findings contradict the view of many archaeologists that the region associated with biblical Edom was populated by a loose alliance of tribes. Instead, it's consistent with the biblical story there was an Edomite kingdom here. There it is again. Consistent with the biblical story. That phrase seems to be popping up a lot in the world of ancient archaeology these days. For example, the excavations at Ashkelon that confirmed the biblical account of the Philistines. Findings on Mount Zion confirming the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem. Not just that it happened, but also when it happened. And on and on. Now, you'd think the sheer number of findings in recent decades that are, quote, consistent with the biblical story would soften the systemic scholarly skepticism toward the Bible. It should, but it hasn't. And one reason many scholars remain stubbornly skeptical is that most archaeologists and social scientists see Judaism and Christianity in the same way they see every other religion, which is an approach that obscures important distinctions. Unlike other religions, historical detail is central, even crucial to biblical faith. The biblical story reports on events that took place in human history. Unlike other religions, the protagonist of the biblical story is a God that has acted in the human arena, not in a mythical past or another universe, but in the same setting that you, I, and everyone else who has ever lived, live. Since historical memory and the actual acts of God within human history is so central to biblical faith, we ought not be surprised whenever we find evidence of his activity in the ground. At the same time, we should be ready to communicate the connections between history and faith when appropriate and when asked. It's a wonderful way to communicate to skeptical friends, family members, and coworkers what we believe and why we believe it. And to help you answer tough questions like this that you face, not only about Christianity and history, but about all kinds of issues, the Colson Center has launched a new resource called What Would You Say? Each week, a new video tackles a tough question, offering clear, usable answers that you can pass on by sharing or by conversation. So check it out and subscribe at whatwouldyousay.org. That's whatwouldyousay.org. For Breakpoint, I'm John Stonestreet.